Hi, I'm Jakira Black. Yesterday I said that I was going to read this book, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and I was going to record short videos about what I thought of what I'd read so far. I have read about a quarter of the book now, the first 4 chapters. I'm not really impressed. The book itself was first published in 1932, and it is quite an old style of writing. Nowadays, writing tends to be a lot more action-packed, and this sort of to be honest, there was a lot of backstory, and it was scientific backstory, and I am going to keep reading this because it is interesting, but it's not really the style of writing that I actually find easy to get into. So the rest of this video is going to be a spoiler, so if you've not read this and want to read it, then you need to turn off. But if you have read it, or you don't want to read it, then keep watching. And if you have read it, then tell me what your thoughts are about this book, of what I've got to so far, the first 4 chapters. So yeah, a lot of scientific explanation, especially in the first chapter. This is a world that I would not want to live in. It's very much about manipulation. There's no parenthood. Children are raised in hatcheries. Their genes are manipulated. Those that would have been twins, the ovums, are manipulated to such an extreme that one ova would produce like 100, 1,000 even people that are all the same. The people themselves are put in different sets. Some are more intelligent, whereas some are more worker style. So they're segregated. There's a lot of conditioning. For instance, there was these babies that were brought into a room, and there was books and flowers, and the babies went to play with the books and flowers. They were like 8-month-old babies, and then this loud noise alarm was played, so they got upset and they cried, and then they were electrocuted through the floor. So therefore they were conditioned to associate being upset and being in pain with books and flowers, which is like really, really horrible. And then there was things like children being played subliminal messages as they sleep, so that they sort of keep to their own and do what they're told, and live how the state wants them to live. And then there was going into the 3rd chapter, there was the erotic play for children, which is and it was sort of wrote in such a way that obviously the author didn't actually agree and think that children should be allowed to do that stuff, but it was the people in the story, the characters in the story, were saying about how the world had been wrong in the past, and they, children hadn't been allowed to do whatever, and it was classed as morally wrong that children should have their erotic play. So I mean, as I read that, my eyes were like, because it's like, oh my goodness. And then going on, men and women, in chapter 4, it's talking about there's no relationships. Everyone is supposed to belong to everyone else. Women and men are supposed to have sex with whoever. It doesn't matter, if someone wants to have sex with someone, then they have to, from the sound of it, they have to comply. There was one bit that said about a man had to wait 4 months before the woman had let him. So obviously she didn't have to comply, as I said, but it was like the onus was on that she would let him, with her. you know. And like I said, this is not a world that I would want to live in. I find all these ideas morally wrong. Like I said, the author, I think, has wrote it to say, you know, how bad the world can get if we're not careful, you know, because this is not the world that we want. You know, we don't want children not having parents. We don't want them conformed and electrocuted, and we definitely don't want them playing erotic games. And I suppose kids do to some degree, but you know, and you know, this freedom of everyone belongs to everyone else. It's just like abhorrent. So like I said, I've read the first 4 chapters and I'm like not particularly enjoying it, but it is interesting. But it's more a sort of sociological sort of examining of how society could go really, really wrong. I will say, because yesterday I said, oh, I think it might be like a story that I was thinking of. It isn't. It's really not. This is far more extreme than I was thinking of. Far more extreme. So yeah. So tomorrow I will do another video. I will read up to halfway and I'll do another video with more thoughts. I can only assume that as something new has happened in each chapter, some sort of way the world is twisted, that, you know, it's going to carry on chapter by chapter, and by tomorrow I'm going to be like, because like, you know, this is not a world we want. I mean, maybe some people might want it, or some of it, but it's not a world we want. We want equality, we want freedom of choice, we want children to be loved and nurtured, and we want, you know, them to be protected, and yeah, and we want people to be individuals and not seen as servants of the state. So yeah, okay, bye.